How do?
How do?
How do?
Fast,
James, take it away, mate. Wherever you want to start. Done the 20 questions. Probably, mate, you, like you said, you had a good childhood up to 13.
Yeah.
Normal childhood, no problems, nothing like that.
There were problems, like my older brother, he were very violent, you know, like.
How much older was your brother?
I think he's about 6 years. About 6 years older. But he didn't get on with my dad. He didn't, you know, he looked after me, nobody could touch me, nobody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was easy in that sense, nobody messed with me, nobody started with me, not like that. But I seen a lot of violence in the house, like him running in the house with knives, spades at my dad, it was horrendous, stuff like that.
How old were you then? You know, what your earliest...
He started doing stuff like that when he was like 14, 15, so I was probably like 8, 9.
Did he?
Yeah, something like that.
Was there anything, you know, now when I look at things like that, you know, did you see any reason? I know you're very
didn't
young.
back then, look, because obviously I was very young, and I've never spoke to him about it now, but it did all die off and it did all calm down eventually. He got to about 17, 18 and we were just not a normal family, because obviously he didn't live with us then.
Yeah.
And he'd been to prison a few times and stuff like that, but it started getting better, we could get along. Well, me and him always got along, I was like under his little wing, but him and my dad didn't get it. Well, him and my dad got on, but it just stuff kicked off, and then it was always my dad that he went for. It was always him that he went
How
straight
did your
at.
dad deal with that?
Oh, my dad just used to pin him to the floor. My dad was obviously a lot bigger than him. And my dad's not a fighter, but he'd just pin him to the floor and he'd calm down, he'd talk to him. There were only my dad that could get through to him. So although he'd try and attack my dad, there were only my dad that could get through to him.
That were on his side.
Yeah. My dad understood him for some reason. I don't know why.
So how did that make you? I mean, remember, I remember my childhood, right? So my nan and my mum were key figures growing up, and then my nan's sisters, my Auntie Frida and stuff like that. So although as kids we didn't have a lot of material stuff, I know material stuff's not important, you know, we were loved, and
Definitely.
you know, I can't remember a lot of sort of arguments and things like that. My dad.
I remember my mum and dad splitting up.
Yeah.
I remember that, because nobody told me, they never told me. They didn't tell me. I noticed my dad had been away for a couple of days.
Were you youngest?
No, I couldn't have been. My little sister, I don't know how old she was at the time when they split up,
Yeah.
but anyway, something had happened, and I just remember being sat in my bedroom and my brother started saying, you know, your dad's not coming home, don't you? They were kind of winding me up with it, if I remember rightly.
His stepbrothers.
Stepbrothers, I call them brothers, you know
No,
what I mean?
listen, do you know what? I'm happy with that, just so people understand where we're at.
Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly.
We
it's
do
like
have different
step-parent.
dads.
I say now, my stepdad, I didn't get on with him when I was 15, and he come on scene. I didn't get on with him. I weren't bringing knives into the house or going through with shovels. However, you know...
He'd lived with them since my brother were young. Since my brother were really young, so it wasn't not like that. It wasn't that they didn't get on. It was just that my brother he was aggressive when he was a kid. I don't know what was going on. There were obviously stuff going on for him. I couldn't tell his story, do you know what I mean? There were obviously stuff going on.
Yeah.
But my dad had brought him up since they were little, so it wasn't not like that. He wasn't fresh into the house or not like that.
Yeah.
It was just weird that they was together. I don't know what it was. But that was all happening, and then my mum and dad obviously split up. I don't really remember doing anything with my dad. Like, the only memories I've got doing stuff, I was always with him. He would always come into the house, he'd give him mum money, he'd buy us new stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what
Proper
my dad did. Yeah, but that's...
So even if they didn't get on...
He were proper in that sense. Oh no, they were brilliant parents. Like, you can't knock them for that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know why. I didn't find out until I was 22 why they'd split up. But you can't knock them for that. But my dad were a money man. Like, he'd give money, but like when you wanted a cuddle, he didn't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't come up to you and give you cuddles. That stuff was missing
Well,
for
he's
me.
sort of a man's man.
Yeah, of course he would. Like, and I'm not knocking him, and I'll never call him for it. That's why he probably got brought up. Do you know what I mean? He's 65 now, so he was a lot older. He got brought up in a different generation. They want cuddles and stuff, as far as I knew back then, from a lot of people. It wasn't like that. But
In it, you know, it's not sad, but it is just...
I didn't notice that. As a kid, I didn't notice that, because I got my cuddles from my mum.
Yeah.
Like, you get your cuddles from your mum. My dad used to take me to the pub and we'd play pool and stuff like that. That was all my dad did with us, if I'm honest.
Your dad's never going to be your mum, are they?
No.
You know, if you're ill or anything's going on, it's just a role. You know,
my
like...
dad didn't know what to do with me.
Well, like now with my daughter not being well, you know, you can be there as much as but I am not our lass.
But he was consistent, and that was the main thing. Like, not you couldn't even say, he were there constantly. He never left. Whenever I needed him, he were there. But cuddles wise, stuff like that, what you need from your mum, stuff like that wasn't there, and that left. And it just felt like from, well, we haven't even spoke about before my mum died, have we?
No.
But like before my mum died, I'd never had a detention. Never had
Good
no
kid,
bad.
went to school.
Oh, I was a brilliant kid. I was in school football team in primary school, school football team in high school. I was doing everything that a normal teenager would do. Everything. Grades were alright. I mean, I'm not smart and all like that, but my grades were fine. But it all changed then, the minute my mum died.
If you don't mind talking about it, was it sudden? Was it a shock? Or
Oh yeah, it was an absolute shock. She started getting tinglings down her arm. Started getting numbing tinglings down her arm, and all her sisters, everything told her to go up. So she went up to hospital, they sent her home, told her to get some Gaviscon, told her she was having heartburn. I was staying out that night. My little sister were at my auntie's. It was mad how it happened. There were only my older brother left. Well, not my older brother, second one down.
Yeah.
He was the only one left there with my mum. And it was weird because she was upstairs in bed because obviously she wasn't feeling well. So she'd gone to bed at about 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I was sleeping at my mate's, which were just across the road. And I shouted up to her, I said, right mum, I said, I'm off over that road. I said, I'll see you in the morning. And she said, night son, love you. She never said that. She'd never said that. I knew my mum loved me, of course I did, and occasionally she'd say that, but whenever I was sleeping out, which happened constantly on weekends, stuff like that, she never said that. So it was just weird how that happened. I've always thought like as if she knew or something, you know, along them lines.
Yeah.
So I've slept at my mate's. Obviously I didn't know this was going on, but I think it was about 6:30, 7:30 in the morning, my mum's got up to work. She's been getting ready for work and she started feeling chest pains, whatever, and she's ended up dying in my brother's arms. So as you can imagine, my brother were 17 at that time. He's never been same since.
Did she have a heart attack?
Heart attack at 37. She went in hospital the day before and they sent her home, told her to get Gaviscon.
What I'm thinking, me, when you said tingling down your left side, I'm thinking stroke or heart attack. That is, it's well known now, isn't it?
Yeah. But back then, they told her to go home with Gaviscon. And then I remember, I couldn't tell you what time it was. My mate's dad woke me up. We'd been up all night on game. We were I can't remember what it was. RuneScape, I think it was. It was just a silly teenage game, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'd been up all night on that. And my mate's dad woke me up. He says, you've got to go home. I sat down. My sister, she was only 6 at the time. I'm saying it like I feel sorry for her, but I was 13 as well, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of them. And he was just saying like, your mum's gone to heaven. And my life changed from that day. He obviously didn't say it as quick.
So wow, that can't have been easy for them either.
No, it wasn't. It was first time, my oldest brother, that was first time I'd ever seen him cry. I'd never seen him cry up until that day, ever.
So, obviously...
That's obviously the hardest part to talk about.
Yeah, he's not the... So what happened regarding, did you go and live with your dad?
No, my dad moved into the house with us.
Yeah.
He moved straight into that house with us, so there were no change like that. Everything carried on plain sailing, but like my brothers with my mum, they're my brothers. Like my dad's got 2 kids as well, and they're like my stepbrother, stepsister. That's what I call them because we didn't get brought up together. We didn't really know each other. But my dad started going up there with my little sister to get them the bond and stuff like that. Obviously, he wanted me to go there, but for me, like I've got 2 brothers. I don't need them. These 2 need us, sort of thing. Like I'm not going that way. So they were up there.
Did you make that as a conscious decision?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like my stepbrother and sister, they used to bring stuff Christmas and stuff like that. I never wanted it. My older brothers, they were sat in the kitchen on their own. Do you know what I mean? Because like my dad's family were there. It was hard. It was shocking. Way it all happened, but my dad's I don't know how to explain. I don't want to call him simple because he's not. He's a clever guy. Do you know what I mean? But he probably didn't even know what he was doing. Yeah, he probably didn't even know what were happening. He probably didn't even know what we're doing. But to me, I was just getting pushed further.
Well, it probably, you know, he's probably sort of in the middle, and he's just trying to.
He just wanted
trying to make the best of it in it for all of you.
But it wasn't just that. He was trying to get me away from my older brother. Because the minute my mum died, he went onto the road. He thought she'd been spiked the week before when she was having a couple of drinks at her mate's house. So he's kicked her off, and he's wrote her out. Luckily she wasn't in, because if she'd have been in, I think he'd have killed her.
Really?
Oh, without a doubt. He kicked door straight and he smashed her house up. I don't know what else he did. And then me and my dad left with my sister. We went, I can't remember where we went. Come back in taxi, and my brothers ended up fighting with the taxi driver. Pasted taxi driver. He thought taxi driver were hurting us. Obviously he'd been drinking a lot by then. His mind were gone, his head were gone.
Did he take drugs or was it grief?
It would grief, it would drink, alcohol. I don't know if he'd have been taking any drugs at the time. Probably a bit of fet, something like that, a bit of whiz. That's what they used to take round that area at
You know, if
times.
you get 100 people in that situation, grief can be from just wanting to be on your own.
My brother was violent. Like, he's always been violent. As long as I remember, he's been violent. But that side of him come out again more when she died. I mean, yeah, it got worse again.
So...
But it wasn't at us this time. He were trying to protect us, or he thought it was. But obviously, it wasn't really doing that.
And what happened to you? You know, so when my mum died, right, I was off work 2 weeks, right.
I think I was off school a couple of days. School didn't even know. My dad never told school what had happened.
This is what I'm going to say to you. You know, people can grieve for months and go off work for months. You know, me, I just tried to get on with my life.
I didn't know what grief was. Everyone told me I was grieving. Yeah, what's grieving when you're 13?
Well, you won't as a 13-year-old, will you? I mean,
this is it.
I've never had to talk to someone who were 13 and that. Obviously, when we've had stuff in his house, or I've spoke to other people and things like that, you know, what do you say to a 13-year-old? How do you know how they're feeling or whatever?
It's like they were doing... School wanted me to do counselling after they found out. But the counselling was a priest. And a priest just put my mum into the ground. It's like... Not obviously, he didn't do it.
No.
But, you know, it's like... There's that. And then there's authorities that's taking my brothers away from me. They're taking them to jail, stuff like that. It's hard to work with people like that once you see all that stuff, because it poisons your mind. Like, you think they're the enemy, when in reality they're not always the enemy, but they are. So you're not working with people. You're not.
As a 13-year-old, right, counselling, the best person to probably counsel is someone you know very well. I'm not bothered what anybody says now. You don't need to be a counsellor, qualified or anything else. But, you know, if there'd have been a family member who...
I mean, how do you counsel someone, though, that's not quite...
You can't
not quite got together what has happened yet? Because... Like,
well,
I was still expecting my mum to come back. Like, my mum worked in Jack Fulton's, and I used to go past on bus and I'd expect to see her there for years.
That's what I mean. It's very difficult with kids, isn't it?
That's why jail were better for me. I didn't have to see them memories. I didn't have to see...
So them 2 years, 13, first time you went to prison, you were 15. In them 2 years, how did you change as a young lad?
I started stealing. Stealing anything
from your family.
The first thing I stole, my mum were alive. It would have, you know, them extra chewing gums. I stole them from a shop right in front of the shopkeeper. I thought it was the best thing I'd ever done. It was brilliant at that time, and I got a bus from it. And then my mates started, like, there were a few compounds around near us and stuff like that, and we started breaking into cars, and we were taking car stereos. But at that time, car stereos, if you got a Sony one, you were selling them 30, 40 quid a piece. Yeah. And we were only teenagers, so 30, 40 quid a piece, it was a lot of money, and we'd go get beers and stuff like that, and we'd just have a good time. And it was like a normal, it was still like a normal teenager, because I still wasn't quite getting together I still didn't know who I was. But in school, I was a problem for school straight away. Like I said, I started smashing the door up straight away as soon as I'd walked in. School didn't even know what was happening. Started smashing the door up and I was throwing chairs at teachers.
Do you think that was a bit of a missed opportunity, like with your family sort of letting school know where you are? Because obviously it's going to be a big thing that. However, I'll tell you something else, just thinking.
You are right. Like I said, my dad should have probably told school, but
also, I'm thinking if you got a kid in school and his behaviour suddenly changes.
I were a model pupil.
You know, anybody's going to be wondering, if you've been in my class and I know you, your behaviour's changed, I'm going to, you know, or I'm thinking I might approach you and ask you.
The first day I didn't even make it to class. I was late for whatever reason, and that's when teacher pulled me and I just started smashing the door up and I just walked off. I went back in next day. Because obviously my dad had explained it by then. They didn't kick me out. They wanted to see me. They wanted to speak to me. But I was in lessons, and how are you going to listen to some silly teacher talking about English or maths when you've just lost your mum last week? Like, that's never going to happen. So I was messing about, but I was trying to keep a smile on my face, trying to show up if you mean whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I was just doing silly things.
It's a personal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. I was just doing silly things, but I could just start crying for no reason.
Were you embarrassed about it? Because sometimes you can be embarrassed about them things as well.
No.
Or feel awkward.
I wasn't embarrassed. It was just, I could burst out crying at any moment. Any moment, so I could be walking around school, chin would start going, start wobbling. And I'd have to go off to a toilet to try, because that's embarrassing, obviously, but it's not embarrassing now looking back, because I knew what I was going through, but other people didn't, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I just couldn't behave in school. There was no way I could behave, and I were fighting, like I said, throwing stuff at teachers, doing silly stuff. I dropped out of all kinds of anything extra that I were doing,
Activities
football,
and
like
stuff.
that. Yeah, that were non-existent now. I just wanted to be naughty, because all that time with my mum, I'm not gonna lie, I knew I could get away with it. That made it worse. With my dad, I could get away with murder. He was the softest bloke you could ever meet. He didn't know what to do. He'd never really brought kids up. His other two kids, he split up with wife and everything like that. And then us, he was with us till about 7, 8, and then gone. But he'd never brought us up full time. He was the worker of the house. Like, he was out full time working. My mum worked part time.
Well, that's quite often what happens. Isn't
That's it. But he didn't know what to do with us. But I could get away with it with him. It didn't matter what to do. I got kicked out of school and everything like that. He'd go buy me new stuff because he didn't know what else to do. He didn't know how to make me happy. But he knew if giving me money, that makes every kid happy.
So, were police involved at any point before you got to 15?
Police were involved before my mum died, but that was an offence. I'm not even going to go into it. It was pathetic. I got stitched up. I didn't do anything wrong. I was sat on a bench with my girlfriend and my mates were abusing other people, and I got involved in it. Well, I didn't get involved in it. I was sat on bench.
Yeah.
It was my first girlfriend, everything like that.
Yeah.
I was sat on bench. They caused the trouble. They left, the lads that they were causing trouble. We started walking down park. Police pulled up. All of us in back of the van, locked up. I got charged with it. I went to court. I got told to plead guilty, but I pleaded guilty just after my mum had died. My mum had died in the process. My mum died thinking I was guilty of that.
Guilty?
Oh, solicitors told me to plead guilty. It says there's no way. Because the thing was, the police had the people in back of the car, and they pulled up at the side of us, and then they're like, "Are these them?" And we was the people that were causing the problems for them, but I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it was easy. They could pick me out on an ID parade because police had just brought them to us and everything. There was no way of getting out of it, really. No matter, it didn't matter that I'd not done it.
What did you get? A caution?
Oh, it was bound over for 3 months, something like that. But it was like, my mum died in process, and it was like, I'm not messing about with that, just go guilty, get it over with. But I'd never even done it. I didn't do a thing. But
Your first prison sentence then? How did that come about?
do you know what? It was just doing stupid kid stuff. It was to us, we're council estate kids, you know what I mean? Like, we used to break into places like old schools, old garages, old warehouses, stuff, whatever it was. And one night, me and one of my best mates at the time, we were grafters. We were going out grafting. We thought we were bad. We thought we were hard. You know what I mean? So we've gone up to. It was actually out of ours club, but my little sister were in it, and we broke in, smashed it or whatever, and we took PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation 2s even back then, they weren't worth no.
Yeah.
But we took a PlayStation 2. We got a pack of jam tarts and a couple of stuff like that. We were children. We were 14 at the time. And on the way out, well, we'd done it once, and then we went back. We did it again. And we got a few more stuff, and on the way out, I don't know for what reason, I just set a curtain on fire. We ran out, didn't think note of it. Police were driving round, we jumped over a
What
wall.
did you set on fire?
Curtain, it was a net curtain.
Right.
But it was all underneath, it were all tiles and all sides were hardened. I didn't think what would happen to it, you know what I mean? It was only one section of curtain. So I've lit that. We just walked out, jumped over the wall, to Fruit Churchyard, everything like that. Police, so we've ran. Obviously not thinking about the fire, we've ran thinking you've just committed a burglary. You've got jam tarts down your top, you've got knives down your top, you've got all sorts. So we've ran. We've ended up in a couple of bushes. Police dogs come out, got hold of us. Not got hold of us, like we went back up. Got arrested for, I think it was £200,000 worth of damage.
Did you get an arson charge?
The full school went up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went up. Not the full school, it's like a square block. The school's at the other side of the road now. But it was just like a big square block of a school, and it was obviously a grade listed building, so that didn't help because they couldn't do anything with it after that. So
you could have got.
If it had been attached to an house, like there were a nunnery at the other side, if it had been attached to that, it'd have been arson with intent, obviously. Whether I'd have known that it'd have done that or not, it'd have been arson with intent, and I'd have been stuffed. There'd have been no coming back from that 14, 15 or not.
So what did you get charged with?
I got charged with
Criminal damage?
2 burglaries.
Yep.
And arson.
You
Without
got
intent.
Guilty?
Yeah, I went guilty. Because the thing was, like, me and my mate at the time, he didn't even know I'd done the curtain. It must have been an even bigger shock for him because he was already walking out. We'd done whatever we thought we needed to.
Yeah.
He didn't even know I'd done it. And obviously we were in cells and everything like that, and we'd come out talking, and then he found out and we were talking. But when we got to court, it was like, they still didn't know who'd set that fire because we both went no comment. Yeah. They still didn't know who'd set that fire, and I said it was me that set the fire. I said he didn't even know nothing about it.
Handed.
Yeah, I didn't want him doing the same thing as me. Like, First, I wasn't even going to jail. I didn't have to go to jail. I had an option. The judge actually asked my dad to go outside court and have a word with me because the judge didn't want to send me to prison. It were either ISSP, which you probably won't know about that.
I know nothing about
intensive supervision, something or other. Intensive supervision, basically for teenagers. And what it is, you're on tag, so you've got to be in at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yep.
You've got to be at probation first thing in the morning, youth offending, like 8, 9 o'clock, well 9, 10 o'clock. Yeah, every day. Yep. And then you've got to be back down at youth offending again for about 1, 2 o'clock, and then you've got to be back home for 7 o'clock curfew.
Yep.
I knew I wasn't going to stick to it, like, it just wasn't going to happen. And it wasn't just that, in that process, I gathered up more charges as well. Like, my brother got out of prison, and I wanted to show him, you know, I can graft now, I'm not scared. And I said, you're going to take me grafting? He's like, no, I'm not doing it to you. I said, come on. I said, if you're not going to take me grafting, I said, I'm going to do it myself. I said, do you want me to get caught or not? So we've gone on to Bristol. There were 3 hair salons in Bristol town centre. We were about 11:30 at night. Taxi rank was still open and everything next door. First one we've got to, banged a brick straight through the window, ran in, grabbing hair straighteners. There were like GHDs, I think it was back then. I can't remember what it was.
I actually know what they are.
Yeah, scissors. Believe it or not, the scissors are quite expensive. The scissors are quite expensive, so I'm filling my pockets with scissors, which he told me to do hair straightening. Whatever we could get, we were grabbing. There were cash, there were even drills and everything like that. Gone to the second one, both straight through the window, same again. Third one, done same again. Taxi rank, people come out from taxi rank. My brother just looked at him, started laughing. We emptied the place, and then we've got off. We got away. You know, we were down in Batley Park, and we just had one main road to cross, and then we were back to the house where we needed to. So we've crossed the road. Cars coming up as we're trying to climb up this hill and banking. So I've passed the stuff to my brother, you know, the drill set, stuff like that. I said, grab them. I said, you get off. I was just a kid. I thought, you know, I'm all right. So the police have come up to me. There's something's happened in Bristol. Can we have a word? Yeah, whatever. Little did I know, I still had scissors in my pocket. I didn't know. I was a kid. I wasn't no smart criminal. I wasn't no like that. I was a stupid little kid that thought he was clever. So I've got them charges as well. And all in all, I think I got 8 months, and then I got a 12-month supervision or something. It was something stupid, but in any way, it just cancelled out because I'd gone to prison.
So where did you go? How old were you? 15?
Well, I was 15. I was just gone 15.
And where did you go to?
It was April. I remember it perfectly. It was April 28th, 2000 and whatever. I went to Lancaster Farms. I'm obviously from near Leeds. I thought I was going to.
What age were you in Lancaster Farms then?
15 to 18. Yeah. But there were Butty 1, Butty 2 that were 15 to 18s, and then
Butty 1, Butty 2.
They're wings.
They're 2 wings. Yeah.
They're like it's like a prison inside a prison, because you've got main wings over there, but then you've got this wing, and it's like hot fencing around that as well.
Yeah.
But that's Butty 1 and Butty 2, called Buttermere. And then over the other side, if I'm not wrong, I think there were some more Juvies wings on the other side, but then there were YOs, so 18 to 21s. 21. Yeah. But it was a good jail.
Can you remember your first day going in?
Cried myself to sleep, mate, probably for the first week or two. I'm not going to sit here and lie, that's what I mean.
Were you padded up with somebody?
No.
Are they all were they single cell?
Yeah, they were all single cells.
Were you put on any sort of watch or anything
no,
like that?
No, it was not like that. I knew why I was there, I knew what I had to get done, but it was difficult. Like, because like I said, I told the judge, send me to prison. I thought we were going to Weatherby, you know what I mean? My mates were all in Weatherby. Yeah. So it wouldn't have been as bad. But the thing was, I went there and, like, you know what it's like Lancaster Farms, it's...
Had a bit of, right, Lancaster Farms, so you've got Manchester lads, you've got Liverpool lads, a lot of young gang members.
They were ruthless, somewhat. They were ruthless.
So, as a Yorkshire lad landing there,
No, I got left alone, mate. I was a kid, you know what I mean? I didn't get left alone. Like, to be fair, I'm not going to sit here and talk crap. If anyone had wanted to do it, they probably could have done it. I would have my own there. There were me and another lad called Sharky from Leeds. Yeah. But he would have trouble causing, you know. Well, he wasn't trouble causing, he was always fighting. He got to the situation where I did later on, but he was always fighting, so he got moved off, and I knew I needed to stay away from him. So I started trying to get talking to people. I got a cleaner's job on wing, ended up with a cleaner's job, ended up with laundry, and it was hard. I started having panic attacks to start with, like the first week. Every time that door shut, I was fine.
Did you know they were panic attacks?
I didn't know what they were.
No.
The first time, when the doors were shutting, I just knew my chest was climbing up, and I thought, I can't breathe in. It's like with my asthma now, but it was way worse. And I didn't know what it was. And I put Bella on, I'm saying, I can't breathe, I can't. And she's like, it's just a panic attack, and just give me a brown bag. And you know, it never happened after that night. I don't know what it was. It never happened after that night.
What were the staff like with you? You know.
I couldn't tell you. I remember one of them. I got because I can't remember.
Were you
which it
scared?
was. Oh, we're terrified.
Every day?
No, not every day. First week or two until I got moved on to a normal location. I didn't know what were happening. You don't know routine, do you? Do you know?
Did you have an induction?
You had an induction, but
Did you learn up from that?
no, it was pointless. It's like learning to drive a car. You learn to drive a car, but you don't learn to drive a car properly. You're out on your own. You know what I mean? It's
Bang to rights.
Yeah.
You know, basic. A lot of people, me, maybe having an induction in your first week inside is not good. Maybe get you in a week, let you settle, and then do your induction because your head's up your arse.
yeah, oh, definitely. But yeah, there were one screw I remember because when I went on induction wing, there was a lad next door to me, and he's like, we were talking, you know, fruit pipes like you do, little gap in wall, and then he talked fruit pipes, and he was saying like, I've just got a job on cleaners. Why didn't you get on it with me? And I'm like, well, how do I go about doing that? You know, how do you get a job in prison? He's like, you need to write a letter to wing, whatever it was, cleaning officer.
Yeah.
So I wrote a letter. They've put me on cleaners. So I thought, you know, I'm all right here. I was out of myself. My door were open all the time.
Yeah.
So I've cleaned up one day. I've done everything I needed to do. I've gone back to my cell. You know, these lads, like, what people don't get about prison, especially when you're not a criminal, how do you communicate with people that's robbing people every night, people that's burgling, people that's stabbing people? Like, as a teenager, as a young kid that you... Because I went around that stuff. I was in jail.
Yeah.
But I was just a stupid little kid that made a silly
So you've
mistake.
got nothing in common with them,
No,
have you?
I had nothing in common with them. So I did my cleaning and everything like that. Went to sit in my cell. Door were open. Screw walked in. What are you doing? What do you mean, what am I doing? Why aren't you cleaning? Because I've cleaned. I've done everything you asked me to do. Everything's complete. No. Get out there. And I'm like, well, but you've told me to do what you wanted me to do and I've done it. Shut my door, you sacked. So straight away, that like they do, they try moving you off wing, they want to prove a point, don't they?
Yeah.
So he put me next door onto, I think it was Butty 2, I'm not 100% sure. I think Butty 1 was induction, Butty 2 was normal wing at that time. Yeah. So he's put me over there. And then same again, I knew then how to get a cleaner's job. So I asked for a cleaning job and they're like, oh, you might have to do education, but you only have to do level 1s, don't you? Like, as long as you've got level 1s.
It's very basic, innit? You know, I've got no beef with people having education in school, they need it or whatever, but most of it is basic.
Yeah. All you needed was a level 1, but because I had that level 1, obviously I was good in school, so because I had that level 1, I didn't need to go to education in reality. So I got a cleaning job, and it was brilliant on there, because once you got a cleaning job, you had 2 pads to yourself. Like, you had, obviously the knock wall through, and you had a big TV, you had Xbox. It was plain sailing from there.
Right, people will be like losing the shit now. Xboxes, big TVs and stuff like that.
It wasn't a big plasma TV. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was a big back TV like we used to have.
They'd be pleased to know that.
Yeah.
The thing is, people lose the shit, right?
There's no way of controlling people if they don't have privileges to aim towards. And this is what people don't get. The prison system would be destroyed without them privileges.
I've always said, me, mate, Ginge. No, I'm only kidding.
No, I
know you said I know. I have always said, if I had a prison, me, you know, and everyone had got PlayStations or whatever, I'd be happy because they'd all be enhanced, they'd all be model prisoners, and my prison...
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
You've got different... I've done my jail both ways.
Were you on your PlayStation all day, all night?
No, I went out cleaning all day. I went out playing table tennis, out cleaning. But do you know what? People don't get it. Like, if you're behind your door, you're not getting rehabilitated. You are not getting rehabilitated.
Thank
there
you.
is not a chance on this earth that you're going to be rehabilitated.
No.
There's no way. There was a kid on that wing with me. Not with me, because nobody ever spoke to him. He was in his cell. He did not move. He didn't go to education. He didn't come out on social. He didn't come out for a shower. It was very rare he come out for a shower. And
Was
I'm
he
telling
frightened?
you, he has to have been. He was just like...
Or was he different?
I never got a chance to speak to him. Like, he used to go to his door, you know, with bed packs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As soon as the door opened, it stunk. The screw should have been doing way more for him than they did, but they did nothing. His pad stunk. The minute you opened it,
Not showering or anything like that, no personal hygiene.
And looking back now, I feel sorry for him. Back then, we used to laugh at him. You know, but there was no reason to be scared because, like, in Lancaster Farms, they controlled the showers. With us being teenagers, you had to put your name down for a shower. You got called. They were a big...
I didn't know this. See, this is what...
Yeah. You had to put your name down for a shower, and you got called over for your shower.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a big cubicle like it is in cons, like it is in
that's
anywhere.
like a bit of a duty care, that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, as adults, you know, showers are a place where quite often it can happen.
Oh, without a doubt.
Scraps.
It goes off in showers, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it does.
We know that. It goes off in showers. But that was the main thing I was scared about. I thought, I'm gonna get bummed here.
What was there? Were you?
No, that's what I thought. Like,
you were scared of being
all my
sexually
mates,
assaulted?
my mates were like, "Oh, Leroy's gonna get hold of you," you know, all this and that. And it's like, I didn't get a chance to speak to my brothers. They were already in prison, like, but I didn't know what were gonna go on. I didn't have a clue.
So how did the staff speak to you? You know, was it?
I can't honestly remember. I couldn't.
It can't have been that bad if
No, it wasn't.
you know.
It wasn't. Do you
Was
know?
there anyone who stands out who were really good, who
Not
you
from-
thought cared, or?
Not from first sentence. It's like it's a blank, is that? If you know what I mean. Like I can remember.
No, that's fair.
Like the faces, I can remember the faces. I couldn't tell you one of the names, apart from that Leeds lad, because I spent more time with him.
Yeah.
But as for Screws, I couldn't.
Did
The
you get
thing is,
into
in
any
there, you
trouble?
don't talk to
Any
Screws.
fights?
No, not in there. No, I didn't. I was
So,
scared.
is it, right.
I was scared of my own shadow, man.
Yeah, I know you were. So let me ask you, because you know, young offenders. I've not worked with juvies, but young offenders.
It goes off.
It goes off. You know, it's all
There were
about
Screws
attitude.
getting battered left, right, and centre.
Were they?
Yeah. I remember one of them, worst one.
What, on the juveniles?
Yeah, the Screws are the biggest bullies in any juvenile prison, and I don't care who it is. The biggest bullies in a juvenile prison are the Screws, without a shadow of a doubt. Because you're smaller than them, they think they can do things. You know what I mean? They do. And I remember one day Screws mouthing off at him. He's getting, and it was probably your size. He was a big guy, and this
Was
kid.
he good looking, charming? No, carry on.
He might have been about 16, 17, this kid, and he was sat down, he was eating his dinner, and Screws just mouthing off at him, getting in his face. And the kid just stood up, and I've never seen anything like it, because he didn't look like he had anything about it. He just plastered him all over. He plastered him all over. Honestly, I've never seen a Screw get dropped as fast.
What sort of people do you think should be working with young offenders and juveniles?
People like you. And that's not me making you feel
Yeah, but
good
what do
about
you mean by
yourself.
that?
You're a nice guy. I knew the minute I was watching your videos. If you
People,
wasn't,
you mean people who can talk a bit and
life
communicate?
skills,
because-
communication. For me, there should be nobody working with anybody. Like a question I'd like to ask you, like, what did you get taught about rehabilitation when you started in prison service?
Listen, I'll tell you about rehabilitation. For me, didn't get taught
That's
nothing.
what I mean.
For me, I always said this, and I'm going to keep saying it. Rehabilitation is what I had when I had my shoulder rebuilt in 2012.
How can you rehabilitate someone
You
while
know,
putting them behind a door?
When I work with young offenders, so there's not much difference, is there? You know, you go on from your juvies to young offenders. Me, I never got assaulted on that wing. There were quite a lot of restraints, and it were usually lads fighting each other, you know, not one. Sometimes they'd lose a shit or whatever. But all the staff on there, I were really lucky when I worked on there, because the jail, although it been up a couple of years, the staff on there were a good mix of old and young staff, and you had a crack with lads.
Yeah.
You know, on association, even though you'd feel it if it were going to kick off.
We don't need to target the officers though.
No,
This is the thing. If the Screws leave us alone, what reason do we have to? Do you know what I mean? Because for me, the way I always wanted to do my jail, and I did kick off, I did go down block, I did fight, you know, it was all that kind of stuff. I did, but the way for me, I walked into any jail and all I wanted to do, get my head down, do my jail, find out which Screws I could manipulate to get what I wanted out of them, to get what I wanted, you know, stuff like that. But I knew if I left
you don't
them
always
alone-
have to manipulate.
No, of course you don't.
You'd know the
Of course you
people who would do you something if you were stuck.
Yeah, but I
So if you
also
come
knew
to
the
me-
ones that I could get a lot more out of than I should have done.
Well, fair dues.
Do you know what I mean? And
Can I ask
you've
you
got
this
to have
then?
them people.
Let's play
to...
devil's advocate now, right? Like you said, that lad battered the Screw officer, yeah?
I couldn't even tell you if he deserved
No,
it.
no. One of my points is that a lot of people, when talking about kids in care, they're called juveniles kids.
Yeah.
I don't mind whether they call them kids, juveniles, teenagers, whatever. Some are violent
Very violent.
and some are dangerous.
That were way violent than Lancaster Farms were way more violent than Weatherby.
Right. So
Because it's gangs there.
So what I'm saying to you is, do you think that the violence comes about because you got the wrong people looking after them? Do you think
No,
some of
it's
them
always-
are naturally going to be violent because they're young and it's all
always
that?
gonna happen. Like, if you put a lot of men together, a lot of kids together, sooner or later there's gonna be a fight.
Yeah, of course
If
there is.
you're in school and you're playing penny push or whatever, you're gonna end up fighting sooner or later. Like, you can't expect to put people in a prison and not expect fighting. You could have no officers on wing, there's still gonna be fights.
So, although it is a tough question, how would you treat juveniles differently? What would you do different?
There just needs to be more people that have respect. Like more officers, like it needs to come from them first. Like a lot of us, we didn't get taught how to behave. Do you know what I mean? We're there for a reason. I mean, you don't go to jail at 15, 16, 17 for no reason. You're there because you don't know how to behave. But then when you've got screws beating you up and you've got screws twisting you up just for laugh, just because they can, like, how are you ever going to get out normal from that? Do you know what I mean? Like, before I started going to jail, I wasn't a violent person. I still won't say I'm violent now. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm violent. But, like, I didn't have no aggression in me. Like, it just wasn't there. I were created by the system. That's all that happened with me.
Did you learn anything from that first sentence?
No, I will lock back up within 2 months.
So nothing, you come out with nothing?
No.
No, you know, not...
I was cleaning. I would have been cleaner.
You're obviously not going to be fearful of going back, 'cause you know what it's like.
Yeah.
Was there nothing...
There was nothing there whatsoever. Like, it's like I would out of myself all day, but if you don't have a job, people think that juvies have it easy. They don't. We were on bang up 24 hours a day. Like, you don't get exercise in them jails a lot of time. If screws don't want to take you out on exercise, they're not taking you out on exercise. If it's raining, if it's cloudy like this, it's going to start raining, you ain't going out. If we haven't got enough staff, you're not going out. You might get exercise once a week in, like, Weatherby and stuff like
that. I know a lad, workshop instructor, Alan, if you ever see this. Cracking fella. Did his degree and teacher training when he was at Strangeways, working full time, because he wanted to work as a workshop instructor and teach youngsters. He was at Weatherby, I think, in workshops. They ended up basically stitching them all up and getting rid of them, closing workshops.
When were they? Might even
not a long time ago.
Yeah.
You might well have crossed paths. The thing that he told me was, it got to the point where, you know, they've got purposeful activity. They couldn't get the lads there because there were no staff to supervise them coming over.
You've got to have a lot of staff to move prisoners in Weatherby, because all the wings move together, and I think they go one at a time, you know, like that.
Yeah.
But it's online route. So
did you go to Weatherby after Lancaster Farms?
Yeah. Like,
was that your second sentence?
Yeah, that was second.
So what was the difference in Lancaster Farms, juvies?
I seen more.
Was Weatherby young offenders?
Yeah, that were just juvies with that. But my first day in Weatherby, I remember, like, it's not like an open wide wing there. It's like little landings. You go, yeah, it's like that. So you've come out and your little dinner table, because you eat out there, so you've got little dinner tables all in a row. So we're sat down, we're eating as breakfast, and that I'm just sat eating what I can't remember what it was. And I've just heard a scream, so I've looked behind me, and a kid's face peeling off in his hands. Oh. That was my first experience of Weatherby, kid's face.
Sugar and hot water.
Yeah. His face, he was grabbing hold of it, he was screaming, he was running. And then, but it wasn't just that, the kid jumped up and started levering him. While he was trying to hold his face, he couldn't see a thing. The kid jumped up, started levering him, and then all screws have ran in, sorted it all out. Boom, again, straight away again. There were a different kid, I don't know what they'd done. There were a different kid, same happened to him, and he got levered.
What, in the same incident?
Oh yeah, within 20 minutes.
The scariest thing for me on any prison wing has always been the boiler. I've always said that.
Yeah. Why? Well, there, you just had your boiler, you know, just at I don't know why they do that for breakfast, because it's the worst time to give it. It's because you've got your jam then as well. What you do, you've got your jam, so your jam's got all your sugar in it. That's going to stick just as good as sugar is. And they're giving you your jam with your toast, and they're giving you hot water, especially in juvies. Like, it's silly.
Right. You know, obviously, people need hot water for drinks. They're entitled to...
In Lancaster Farms, you only got water behind your door. On a night time, they'd come round, you might get a scone or a packet of little biscuits, and they'd bring you hot water. But as far as I know,
did they bring it?
They brought it on a trolley. On a trolley, on a little boiler thing on a trolley, yeah. And you'd come to the door and you'd press your thing, you'd fill your water up, go back in.
Dangerous, innit?
Lancaster Farms were way more controlled than Weatherby. It's like Weatherby, you're 3-4 man showers in Weatherby.
Can you explain why it were more controlled?
I don't know, but...
Did it feel safer for you?
It were way safer. It were way safer.
So when you went to Weatherby,
you even put your name down for phone in Lancaster Farms. So there were no fighting over the phone like there is in some jails. There were none of that. Everything was controlled.
Well, there's no bullying then, is there? Because you've got a place.
This is what I mean. It's like the worst thing about Lancaster Farms, right? Especially for a Yorkshire lad. And I was new to prison, so I've come out for my dinner and that. And I've gone and sat on the right hand side. Didn't think note of it. Lads have come and sat down. Where are you from? I've noticed an accent straight away. Do you know what I mean? Where are you from? Leeds. Obviously, I'm not going to start saying Batley, so I said Leeds. And like, yeah, you need to sit over there. I'm like, why? Like, we're Scousers, you can't sit with us. I'm like, well, over there. They're like, they're all Manchester. I said, well, I'm not from Manchester. I said, what difference does it make where I sit? I said, I'm not from Manchester, I'm not from Liverpool, so I've no affiliation with none of us. I said, you know. And then he said, fair enough then. He says, as long as you don't mind. He says,
Really?
Yeah.
So you were reasonable. So even though...
It wasn't like that. He wasn't saying, oh, you need to get up and move. He was saying, you need to go sit over there, mate. Because he was more saying, if you don't, they're going to have problems with you. But I want from Manchester, I want from Liverpool, so I sat at Liverpool
so
table.
do you not think about sitting in the middle of the floor and Jack Jones?
Well, that was the only option, really, wasn't it? So I sat there, and then another time, when I come out, second time, I just went and sat with Manchester. I thought, well, you know,
so
at least these lot have got the accent.
You're thinking man's Yorkshireman, aren't you?
Well, I can't even understand what half of them say sometimes with Scousers. They talk too fast, a lot of them, don't
I've got a lot of Scouse friends, I'm not laughing for that.
You can't, though, especially when you're from Yorkshire, like, you don't understand a lot of what they're saying and stuff like that.
Definitely broad. So
but I didn't have nothing in common with any of them. They were gangsters. They were going around shooting people and stabbing people. I was just a little moron that set a school on fire. That's what I was. But
could have got lifed off for that.
I could have. It could have been a lot worse because if I'm not wrong, the nunnery is pretty close to it. Like, it wasn't
right, Wetherby. Let's do Wetherby. So, how old were you when you went to Wetherby?
Still 15.
So they have juveniles and then young offenders.
No, they've just got juvies there. It's just 15 to 18.
All right, okay.
Yeah, it's just that. But yeah, that was my first experience of Wetherby. Them two kids having their face peeled off, and a screw running on wing. He's actually been sacked as a screw. He got sacked for beating a kid up. But I'll tell you now, what best screw I've ever met. He was
Why? Tell me why. Tell me what made him good.
Because he spoke to you with respect. He could be like. He was a big bodybuilder.
When you say respect, right? Did he just talk to you?
He spoke to me like we're talking now.
Yeah.
He didn't speak to me like
as an equal.
Officer. Yeah. He didn't speak to me like he were going to be writing me up if I said something wrong to him or something like that. Do you know what I mean? He just spoke, but I thought he was an absolute idiot at first. I didn't like him one bit.
Why?
But then I don't know. Like my first experience of him, obviously that had happened, and he just bounced on the wing. And he's a big bodybuilder, but small, and he just rugby tackled the kid that were fighting. And I mean, the kid went flying, smashed his head off at radiator, and I thought he's an idiot, him. But when I got on cleaners on F-wing in Wetherby, he was the most down-to-earth screw you could meet. He was by far one at best.
Just talk to you, just normal.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting caught on visits with parcels. I was rushing kids on line route and stuff.
Yeah.
Not on that sentence, but eventually when I got to know him more, I was getting parcels on visits. I was getting caught with them. I was rushing kids on line route and stuff like that. And
you were rushing
lads on line route with people and stuff like that. Because that's just,
what's that mean?
Like, two of you going in on someone. It wasn't meant to be like that on the first one. It wasn't meant to be like that. And I ended up being good mates with the kid that we did it to. Do you know what I mean? But it was just a case of we both said we're going to deal with him when we see him, and it was just.
Why are we going to deal with him? What had he done?
The lads, I don't even speak to the lads now, but one of my mates, he'd pulled a knife out on him and tried stabbing him or whatever. So we said when he lands here, we'll deal with it. And he landed, and me and my best mate, we were just there up at its construction barn, and we're waiting to go on line route, and my mate said he's there. I said, who is? He's like, I'm like, fuck off. I said, I can't be arsed. I said, I've just finished work. I said, I can't be bothered. He's like, shut up. He says, we've said we're doing it. I said, I know we're doing it. I said, obviously we're doing it. I said, but I don't want to. So I obviously took lead. I says, grab my coat. So he's grabbed my coat. I've started walking past, and I turned around to him. I says, you know what you've done, don't you? And I explained it, said what he'd done to so and so. He's like, nah. So I've just turned around and smashed him, dropped him, and as he's dropped, my mates just started punching him. But Screw pulled my mate off, and I've just carried on punching him. But that Mr. Burnett, the one that got sacked, normally he'd give you a couple of jabs and stuff like that, because he don't like stuff like that. Nobody likes stuff like that. Nobody likes rushing people. There's no need for it, is there? We don't. It
Did you feel under pressure to do that? You didn't want to do it?
No, I knew I was going to do it. Like, if I'd have seen him on my own, I'd have done it. It was just, at that moment, like, when you're walking back from work, you're having a laugh, a bit of banter with lads, you're not thinking about stuff like that. I was in a good place at the time, I was enjoying myself, but it was just something that had to happen. But I ended up being good mates with the lad when I met him in Marshgate a couple of years later. He was a really decent lad, and he's doing really well for himself now, so.
So when you got out from Wetherby, how long were you in there?
I was in Wetherby 3 months, and again,
Did you learn anything there?
No.
Does a short sentence do anything?
No, I've never learnt out on any sentence. Prison did nothing for me.
Do you know how many sentences you did?
I think it was about 8. I've been 10 times in total.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I think two at times, like, that's why I say 8, because 2 at times I were on remand for 2 weeks. 1 at times I were on remand, and then I got out at court after the sentencing me. Just that was, they only remanded me because I refused to do pre-sentence report, stuff like that. Second time it was a robbery, and I got my judge in chambers. So I'd just come back from gym and Screw shouting. This was in Marshgate.
So you got bailed?
Yeah. But the rest of the time, it was like 3 months. Well, it was like 8 month sentence first time, and then I got recalled for 3 months on that, and then it was like a 6 month sentence, 7 months. It was just silly little sentences that were doing nothing because I was so prolific. It was unbelievable.
Did you go back to Wetherby when you?
Yeah, all my juvies then were Wetherby. Yeah.
And Marshgate, was that your last one?
Nah, Dearbolt was my last one.
Or Dearbolt up in...
Can't really do them. That was a shit one.
Is it?
Yeah. It ran just like Wetherby, I hated it. From the minute I got there. I know we're going way further into it now, but...
No. See, for me, it's going to be a difficult one. From my own experience, working in a private kids' home, them lads were anything... Some of them I thought would definitely end up in prison, and probably did. It is difficult dealing with kids.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know...
We didn't know ourselves. We don't know who we are yet.
What? I've seen these programs, right, in different countries. There's a lot of models other than you know, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, where they are doing things different with young people. You know, basically what we do is we lock you up, manage you, however that may be. It can be a very, very violent environment, can it not?
Oh yeah, without a shadow.
Young lads, testosterone growing up, about respect, gang culture and all that. What would have made it different? What would have made you different?
Well,
what would have made you being fearful of going back?
It's like you say, you need more purposeful things. Like, we're kids that's... We've obviously not worked well in school. We've obviously not done well in school. That's why we've ended up out on the street. That's why we've ended up robbing. That's why we've ended up doing this, that and that. Well, but you go to jail, and even like Wetherby, like Lancaster Farms were a pushover that were easily done because you didn't have to go to education. And the rules were still the exact same in Wetherby, but they were telling you, you're going to education, you're going to what we've put you on, or you're getting a nicking. And that's just what it was like in there. They tried
Did you go to education?
I think I went to education on my first sentence in Wetherby, and I don't think I ever went after that. I was going to like trying to do joinery and stuff like that, but the joinery's shit. It's just miserable old men, and we just used to terrorise him. It was just a miserable old man. He was right small, had an attitude, he loved an IEP, like, you know what they had. I can't remember.
Putting you on punishment if you're misbehaving or whatever.
Just a little write-up to get you, make sure you can't get an answer out like that. Like, it was silly.
It's very difficult, innit, because you're not ever going to be able to get people who are good working with young people. You're not going to get workshop instructors. That's his job, right? So he gets paid for doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, he might have been a nicer person when he was younger, but he's got to a certain age. He's got people like yourself taking the piss out of him.
It's like they put me on that because they didn't know what else to do with me. It's like, I'm not a builder. My dad used to do bits of stuff like that. My stepbrother does stuff like that. I'm not. I never wanted to be. I just wanted to do my jail, get out. I wanted a cleaning job. But it's like, you go to places like that and they're not doing anything. Shall I tell you some of the facilities that they have in Wetherby? They've got a fishing pond. They've got rabbits. They've got owls. They've got everything like that. They've got a wing called Keppel. And you can fish if you're on there. You can go fishing because that's for VPs, everything like that, people that are struggling. They've got heated flooring in the cell. They've got showers in the cell. They've got TVs. They have cinema nights. They have takeaway nights. It's unbelievable what they get.
Is that just one wing?
Yeah, that's just one wing right up back at jail called Keppel.
What's the criteria for getting on that wing?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I don't know if it's people with learning difficulties, but for us, we just said victims. You know what I mean? That's what you say. Like, but we never seen people coming off there with like learning. Like there were a cross dresser on there, people like that. You know, people that just are not going to survive on the normal, because there is bullying.
Well, yeah, of course there is. Yeah. So, you know, if you're cross-dressing, whatever, you're going to be vulnerable, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
Young lads, people are going to take piss or whatever. Yeah. And on the really bad side of it, there's a chance you might get sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
So,
well, he was actually doing this. She, I don't know what. I never spoke to him, so I'm not going to sit here and say he or she. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would actually sexually assaulting people on that wing that he were on, and I think he got shipped out. And
this is the other thing, isn't it? Some of these people are vulnerable, aren't that vulnerable, and end up actually.
And there were obviously people that had committed rape, people that had committed whatever other offences like that. They were all on there. Anyone that couldn't survive, anyone that thinks...
So the vulnerable prisoner ring, you got sex offenders and other people who weren't necessarily sex offenders, but...
Yeah. People that couldn't handle the jail. There were a lad that we knew, he was on the... Not that we knew, like... one of my mates' cousins come in, and his co-accused went straight onto that wing. But there was no wrong with him. They must have just thought he were... If you're
going to be on a wing like that, you're going to have vulnerable people, and to make numbers up, you're going to have people who are going to be quiet and comply with regime, aren't you?
But that honestly, like on F wing in Wetherby, you look out your window, and you've just got a lakeside view. It's brilliant. But all I wanted to do was go fishing on it.
People will be losing the shit now, saying why should you have a view and things like that.
No. I wish I'd have got to use it, to be honest.
How many lads? How many lads do you think learnt anything or never went back or?
There will have been the ones that obviously had the short, sharp shot, like they say. But for people like me, for the majority, I'm not kidding, right? The people that I met in Wetherby are the people that I met in Marshgate, are the people that I met in Dearbolt, are the people that my mate, who's still locked up now, he's still meeting them same people now. Like, you know, it's...
Did you ever use drugs in jail?
Yeah. In Wetherby, Jesus, in Wetherby.
Weed?
No, I'm not really... I was never really one for weed. Not when I was a kid, it mongs you out, doesn't it? I liked the highs and stuff like that, but like, I think the first drug I took in Wetherby were subbies, believe it or not.
Subutex.
Yeah. We didn't know
Did they have that in there for detox?
No,
no, they don't have detox with juvies, do they?
We didn't even know.
There's no usually addicts, is there?
No, not really.
In
I've never known
prisons,
anyone to take methadone in them. I know people have come in and people who say, oh, he's a smackhead, but the thing is, I'm not saying that.
I'll tell you, you know what, young offenders, only one in my couple of years working with young offenders, one heroin addict come on the wing and we had to leave him locked up and move him to adult population because all the YPs, they have like this moral thing, don't they?
Yeah,
that you don't do heroin, you can smoke weed and stuff, but they're like...
It's like subbies, we didn't know what subbies were.
Tell people what subbies are.
Subbies are Subutex, they're opiate based, it's what heroin addicts use, people that's coming off of heroin and stuff like that.
Prison,
that's what
they either put on Subutex or methadone.
Yeah.
Were you smoking them?
No, you sniff them, yeah. What it was, Castington, you know Castington, don't you, up in North East?
No, what's that?
That was a YO's.
Oh, Castlington.
Castington, yeah.
Yeah.
It's HMP Northumberland now, if I'm not wrong. But that was YO's deal, and they had YOIs on the other side or whatever.
Yeah.
But they shut that down, so all Geordies started coming down to Wetherby. Yeah. And it was them, they love the subbies, them, they do. They love them, and they started bringing them down, so they've come on wing.
Is it similar to Coke, something like that? No.
It turns you green, makes you throw up, and if you're not used to them, it's awful. It's awful, but it does give you...
Did you use drugs before you went to jail?
I had used drugs, I'd used like little bits
recreational
of coke, pills, stuff like that, but no, mate, I'd smoke weed, stuff like that, but not major, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I wasn't taking it because, believe me, I was never depressed in prison. When I was in prison, that was my happiest years of being a teenager. By a country mile, it was. That's the only place my head was straight, because what people don't understand is the reason I was in prison was because I lost my mum. And in prison, none of the yous have got your mum. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No, I don't have to be jealous of you because you're not seeing your mum. You're seeing your mum about as much as I'm seeing mine. Yeah, that's what it was for me. It's like Christmas time. I always tried to make sure I was locked up before Christmas because I never wanted to be. I remember doing one or two.
Locked up in prison, not out of prison.
No, I didn't want to be out for Christmas.
Consciously?
Yeah, no, I purposely did it. Like if you like my charges, I was trying to get them and stuff like that, but I can't get them. But my charges generally started happening, like my mum, anniversary of my mum's death's October.
Yeah.
But they generally started happening in November. And if I didn't manage it by that point, you could guarantee I'd be locked up 4th, 5th of January. Every time, because I couldn't stand the thought of Christmas out here without my mum. My mum made Christmas without my mum. It wasn't Christmas, you know what I mean?
Wow.
I remember the first Christmas that I had without my mum, my dad spent, and I kid you not, he spent about 1,500 quid on me. I've never had that money spent on me before that point. He spent about 1,500 quid on me. I had a pit bike, I had a scooter, I had everything. He was just splashing money everywhere, just trying to make me happy, and it never did. But it did for a short period.
Yeah, well, listen, this is what I always...
Yeah.
This is the point, isn't it? You know, initially maybe a wee excitement and all that, and then it's gone and you're back to square one.
It. I mean, it was.
But he did what he thought to
I'm not sat here calling my dad. I am not at all. He was my mum and dad. Like, if you'd have asked me then, you know what I mean? Like, who do you want to die, your mum or your dad? I'd have said my dad.
Yeah.
If you asked me now, I'd pick my mum. I'd still pick my mum. My dad was amazing. I wouldn't change that for the world. He did everything possible that I could have asked him to do. Even I know he wasn't there with cuddles like I wanted, but
no.
He was there when I needed him. He's been the most consistent person my entire life. So it's, you know, like looking back now, my dad dealt with it amazingly.
Happiest times in prison. That's sad.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure.
I was jealous, like we were saying before. Yeah. I was jealous of my mates. Like, I go to my mate's house and the mum would be there.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, 2 of the main mates that I'm talking about, both of their mum has now died, and it's awful. But like then I was jealous of them. Like, you've got your mum, you're going to sit for a Sunday dinner with your mum, and I was trying to push myself away, and slowly but surely I just pushed myself further and further away from them to like My older brother, I started hanging about with my older brother. I started hanging out with his mate, and then his mate had a little brother, so then me and his brother are now, we were best mates now, but we were just grafting constantly. That's all we did.
What stopped you then? After your last sentence, what stopped you going back to grafting?
Do you know
burglary?
what? When I was in Dearborn.
Was that your last sentence?
Yeah, Dearborn.
So you said it was shithole. What do you mean?
Well,
the building was a shithole, the facilities.
Let's talk about Marshgate first, because then you can understand it. But
is it Marshgate before Dearborn?
Yeah, Marshgate before. I went to Marshgate
Where's Marshgate?
Doncaster.
Well, right, yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
we call it H&P Doncaster. We always
call it
Marshgate.
Marshgate. It's on Marshgate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where the old Carnell's bike shop were. Fair dues. You threw me then.
It's a private prison. And I know you bang on about private prisons, and I know they're not good, like, for screw officers wise.
Well, they quite often a cons prison, and that
we love them.
That isn't because they're private. It's because
you don't have staff on them.
There's staffing.
There's no
experience. Yeah, staffing.
Marshgate, like if you wanted to have a scrap, all you do is, boss, can you get some toilet roll? We ain't got none. And then he's got to go into the main thing.
How many are on a wing?
There's one screw.
How many are on a wing?
Oh, there's two.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is what I tell people. The other thing, if I'm with somebody who's frightened, they're in the office, never come out.
Throwovers.
So if I'm doing if I'm doing towel exchange at night or doing survey, that's when people get assaulted. No fight start.
But it wasn't like that in there, because it was just like that were mainly something had to happen. But really, like, you just drag people in the shower, you drag them in pad, because nobody knew. Like, we used to do that on a regular basis. Like, because for us, we were mixed with cons. They started that just before I got there. The cons didn't like us.
Let me explain this before you go into this, right? So when I'm at Forest Bank, young offenders, 18, 21, loud, fighting all the time, full of testosterone, you know, bigging each other up, reputation and all that, right? It was chaos, it was mad. I loved it. It wouldn't have been a job for life, because I'd have lost my shit, do you know what I mean?
We love it like that. That's jail.
Well, if I'd have been 18, 19, 21, maybe, and I'd have been in that environment, I'd have been used to that. However, they decided to put 18 to 21-year-olds in normal population with adults. The idea being that the adults' wings were calmer, it'd calm them down. In Forest Bank, the YP started running wings.
Yeah. That's what it was. It's like
they were ruthless.
Yeah, the cons were saying to, like, by this time, like when I first started going in, I was quiet. In Weatherby, Flankers Farms, I was quiet. I was just a good little kid. I'd do whatever that Screws told me to do, and I get on with anyone. I can get on with anybody. You know what I mean? If they're a nice person, I'll get on with anyone. So I never had a problem like that. I mixed in with everybody because I can talk to anybody. But then they started doing counselling and stuff like that in Weatherby, and I started going mad then. Like, my whole demeanour changed, everything about me changed.
You started having counselling?
Yeah, they started giving me counselling for bereavement in Weatherby.
And did it make it worse?
I was uncontrollable.
Right, I'll tell you, just for me, when I had my psychological whatever, the last were lovely. However, relief after, terrified before.
I never ended it, I never finished it.
Terrified before, after, relief, you know, a bit of a high, 5-6 hours after that, animal.
Yeah.
Turned into an animal.
I don't even know what it was, but like when my mum died, I never got aggression, I never got anger, do you know what I mean? Like, I was never really violent anyway. I'm still not now, I wasn't then. It's just, I was a lot more capable of fighting then, and I was a lot more happier to do it, and I enjoyed it, I loved it once I got going, do you know what I mean? But like, but Weatherby, they started giving me counselling, and I'm 17 now, and it's just before I'm getting sentenced. So they're doing counselling, and I'm starting flipping, I'm starting smashing pads up, I smash phone up on wing and screws and giving, yeah, you're going to get mad. I'm shouting to them, what, who's going to do, you know what I mean? Like, that's what kind of mind frame, who's going to do what? I'll smash them all up. And that's sort of stuff I was doing, I was just writing pads off left, right and centre, fighting with people.
Did you get on with a counsellor?
She was lovely. Yeah, when I was in there, I used to go in there, and that's, I think I learned how to use my emotions there. Like, I never cried. I did when I first went to jail, but in reality, other than that, like I didn't cry. I didn't have feelings. There was something missing.
So
like,
smashing pads up, and do you think your emotions just?
Yeah.
You'd had it all bottled up since you were 13, and it started coming out.
And
that's not making excuses, is
and
it?
No, of course not. But if my mum had died, I'd have probably still ended up in prison. It'd have just took a lot longer. Like, I was always around it. I was around criminals constantly. Sooner or later, it was going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I'm not making excuses. My mum dying was not an excuse. That just progressed me to it. It did. It just progressed me. It was always going to happen. I knew from being young I'd end up in prison with the people around. Yeah, I always knew I would. But Yeah, the counselling. We're on about the counselling. Yeah. So I was doing the counselling and I loved it. I used to go in there, she'd make me a cup of tea or whatever, and I'd sit there and we'd talk, and chin would start going, I'd start having a little cry and stuff like that. And it'd been the first time I'd found my emotions and that for ages, like for like 3 years. But by this point, I'm in a juvenile jail, and I'm turning 18. So I've gone 18 and I'm still doing counselling. But now I'm fighting my lads, and these are kids now. I'm an adult now apparently because I'm 18.
Yep.
So these are kids. So now they're on about, we're gonna have to move you. But I'm on a DTO sentence. So
what's that mean?
Detention training order. That's what juvies get. But I was still getting them when I was in Wales, so there was no reason they couldn't move me. But yeah, you get a detention training order. So really, you've got to stay in a juvenile jail. But I got sentenced like 2 weeks before my 18th birthday, and I was trying my hardest to not let them sentence me before my birthday, because all I wanted to do was go Wales. I'd grown out of Weatherby now.
Yeah.
I'd grown out of it. I was done with it. But they weren't having none of it. But because I'm fighting with kids, they're having meetings then, and they're saying, look, he can't be in this jail, and my probation saying, you can't move him, you can't put him somewhere else. Like, this is prison he's got to be in. But they wanted me going to a Wales jail and stuff like that. And in the end, they pulled me off my counselling because, like, I went to court the day I got sentenced. I battered a kid in court in the dock where the judge could see me and everything. I battered the kid at one of my co-accused because he grassed on me. But I was just going nuts. My head just wasn't there, and they just wanted me off the counselling.
So you went to Parkgate, Doncaster.
Yeah, that's the best prison I've ever been in.
Go on. Why is it best prison? So you were 18 then, you went there?
Yeah, I was 18. I'd been out of Weatherby a week. I got out with tag.
Yeah.
Nice tag off. I got out to a brand new house. They did everything they could for me. They gave me early release on tag, even though I shouldn't have got it because I've been caught with parcels, fighting. I'd done all that.
See that? Good point. Me, nature of the beast. You know, what you're dealing with, as you come out of there, you are what you are. It don't matter what you do for you. You're not always going to help people. It might not be the right time or whatever.
You see, like, I get letters off my brothers, and not my older brother, but one of my brothers, I get letters off him, I get letters off my mates, and it's always, oh, I'm not doing it when I get out, I'm not doing it. I was never like that. I knew when I got out I'd do the exact same again. I knew I would, because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed prison. Prison was a place of calm for me. It sounds stupid, but outside I had visions of my mum pulling up, or, well, not pulling up, she didn't drive. I had visions of my mum being in work, or my mum here, or my mum there, or like anniversaries, you'd have to go to the grave, and I hate it. It was the worst thing for me.
I am surprised now that you've been 9 years and you've not been back in, because
if it hadn't been for my kids, listen, I'd be doing it now.
Well, that's your purpose, innit? You've got kids now, you've got a missus,
I'd be lifed off without my kids. I'd probably be lifed off.
That is why people change. Usually it's something in life changing, having a kid, or missus giving you, saying, right, you go back, that's it, we're done.
That was all I needed.
Because the thing is, there's so many lads like you inside that people do not understand. There's nothing, we're not doing anything else with them, sending them to prison. Yeah. Prison is not doing anything, and they come out and they're just going to be back there. My
last sentence in Weatherby, I think I did about seven or 8 months. I did about 3-4 months on remand, and then I was meant to do 5 months, but obviously they gave me early release, so I only had to do 4 months out of it. But it was just like, I was behind my door like 99% of it, because they didn't want me out. Like, I was bouncing tellies off at wall, and nobody smashes the telly up in jail. Nobody with a right mind. They brought my telly back to me after I had a nicking, and nicking was complete. They brought it back to me. I just bounced it off my door. Screw come in. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't want your telly. Stick it up your ass. That's the only thing they can take off you. There's nothing at all they can take off you.
There's plenty of lads done the jail with nothing, because they then say, "There's nothing you can do to me, whether I'm in a cell here or down the block, don't matter."
That's what I mean. It's like they brought the telly back to me. I'd done 3 months. You've got to do 3 months without a telly. And I'd done the 3 months, and they still didn't bring the telly back to me, because I knew I was going to do it again. And I got a nicking, and I think it was for the thing at court. I got 21 days losses for battering that kid in court.
Yep.
And I got the nicking, and after 2 weeks or 21 days, whatever it was, I can't remember. After that, the screw come to my door. He opened my door. All lads were on social, and he says, come up to office, get your telly. I shouldn't have had the telly. But they give me it back, and again, within 2-3 days, I'd lost it on another nick, and I told them, I said, I don't want the telly. I think I did about 6 to 6.5 months of a 7-8 month sentence without a telly. I didn't want it. But
mostly on bang up.
Yeah, people's got this
sleep it away.
No, I was cleaning my pad, listening to music, getting off my head on MCAT, getting off my head on Ket. I was on parcel.
I know what ketamine is, obviously. What's M?
You never heard of MCAT?
No.
Oh, right. Do you know what?
What is it?
You sniff it. It's just like it's like a crystal thing. It's gone now. Like I won't even know where to get it from now. But it was a £10 bag, and the £10 bag could easily, like when it first came out, it could last you all weekend.
Yeah.
It could last you all weekend, but my brother, not my brother, I better not say that. Somebody come up on a visit, and I got it passed, and I was just sniffing it, and I was off my head, and I was doing that all the time.
How easy in the YP places was to get parcels on visits?
It's easy in any prison. I can take parcels through any prison in UK, whether they've got sniffer dogs or not.
All right, let's leave that then.
Do you know what I mean? It's the easiest thing. Yeah, but you can take them through visits. You can take them through over fence. You can screws bring them in. It's unbelievable.
Right, let's get to Marshgate, Doncaster, HMP Doncaster, easiest prison you've been to. No staff.
No staff. Sleep all day.
So you enjoyed it there?
Yeah.
How long were you there?
I think I did about 3 to 4 sentences there.
And then Deerbolt after that.
Yeah.
Tell me about Deerbolt.
Deerbolt would run like Weatherby. So I've gone from a YO cons jail, where it's you do whatever you want. You literally do whatever you want. I was working. I was on 40 quid a week working in kitchens. So
is that at Donkey?
Yeah, that's at Doncaster. I was on hold there, but they tried shipping me out that many times. In the end, I flipped and I said, "Listen, get me out of this jail, and I'm going to write it off." And Screw got me out because I'd done stuff in there before, and he knew he didn't want me there, so he got me out anyway. So I've gone there, and it was exactly the same as Weatherby. You had to wait for Screws to take you on a line route. You couldn't move without a screw straight behind you, do you know what I mean? You went out on source, there were 7 or 8 screws all there. You couldn't do anything, you could not get away with anything. It was run like a children's prison. But I want a child no more, do you know what I mean?
But again, playing devil's advocate, do you think that were better for some lads who might not have had your...
No.
Do you know what I mean? Some lads might not feel safe, they might want that. No?
No. You've took me from a prison where I was growing up, I was starting to be a man, do you know what I mean?
Right.
And they've put me in a child's jail around absolute idiots all over again. And it was crap, I refused to work.
Did you do any time on cons then?
No. I got out 2 days for my 21st birthday.
And you've never been back?
I've never been back. I was still grafting when I got out, like I said, but the minute I last told me I was pregnant, she was pregnant, that was it. Everything was done. Everything, there was
That's
nothing.
your purpose?
Yeah. It filled an hole in my heart that I've had missing since I was a child. It filled an hole, like I can talk about my mum now. I couldn't do that before. I couldn't start speaking about that at all. It had to go to the back of my head.
Right, so, although, again, you know, it's an impossible question, do you think there's more they could do with young people in prison other than, basically, we do the same as adults, don't we? We lock you up, yeah, supervise you, there might be some activities or whatever, but there's nothing in the way of rehabilitation. There's no sort of...
Well, I've been to prison 10 times and I don't know who's meant to do the rehabilitating. I still couldn't tell you now who is it that does the rehabilitating.
You see, people like yourself, me, I think you need mentoring. You're not going to get that in prison. There's not enough staff.
That's it.
You know, it costs enough to send people to prison. It's like
at the same time, there was nothing else they could do with me.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You do need something different.
There were 15 to 30 victims a day because of me. Do you know what I mean? There were 15 to 30 victims of my crimes each day when I were doing it consistently. Because I didn't stop it. It wasn't for money. I was giving money away. It wasn't for cars. I wasn't bothered about them. We were playing bumper cars with them and stuff like that. It was just because that was my way of controlling my breathing. That was my way of controlling my head.
At what point, you know, would we have stopped all this with you, or?
I don't think, if I hadn't have had my kids, I don't think I'd probably still be doing it now. But the sentences were getting worse, and it wasn't just that, like, because we started using mole grips and stuff like that, they started adding conspiracy charges to it, and then...
just explain that. So, because you got taking tools with you and stuff.
Yeah, well, like, the majority of the houses I've been in, and stuff like that, I've gone through an open door, like, but then, like, they're just lenient sentences when you're young. But obviously by now I was 19-year-old, and we're using mole grips, so we're ripping locks off, we're going straight in like that. So now it's planned, you know what I mean? So now they're saying you're conspiring and what have you.
Because you're taking tools to somewhere or whatever.
I suppose you are, aren't you, really?
You get bigger sentences, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean, my last sentence, it started off at, I think about 4 or 5 years, and ended up with 27 months. So I did pretty well. Like, my mates were coming back with conspiracies with 3.5, 4.5.
Do you think sentencing is harsh enough?
No way.
It did nothing for you, did it? Short sentences.
I mean, how can you do something with any? They needed time with me. They needed time, and they were getting 3 months.
From what you're saying, you need to be in the right environment.
Of course you
do. And juvenile young offender environment.
Being around the cons gives you more perspective as a YO, because you're looking at them, and a lot of them, they've turned into heroin addicts, they've turned into, they take crack, they take stuff like that. But if you're looking at them and you're thinking, if you carry on, you're going to end up like that. Do you know what I mean? Because that is the path that you go down. Like, you start off and you're just having a laugh, you're sniffing a bit of coke or whatever with your mates, and then you're grafting. But sooner or later, mental health kicks in. Sooner or later, depression kicks in. Sooner or later, your family's fucked off because they've had they've gone because they've had enough of you. Do you know what I mean? Like me now, I ain't got many friends left. I ain't got many family left. But that's because I've pushed them away. And that is what you do when you're in that lifestyle. You're pushing people away constantly.
Is them doors open, do you think?
I'm not sure I want them open anymore. I'm happy with where I am with my life. Like, the less you have in it, the less problems you have.
Well, listen, you've got kids, haven't you? So they've got to be your purpose and focus.
That's it.
Obviously, that meal for your missus, have to mention her age.
45.
Yeah.
No, she's not 45.
No, I know that. Yeah, so, young offenders, juveniles, don't work. Very interesting perspective.
Doing nothing there.
Have you got any parting words? You know, anything profound to say after that little conversation?
No.
Like everyone, we'll keep in touch. We'll come back sometime and we'll have a little chat.
Yeah.
About a few things, eh?
We didn't even get into it, did we? So there's plenty more to talk about if you ever want to.
There is. James, Jimmy, Ginge, whatever he wants to be known as. Purpose in life, your kids, mate.
Oh, without a doubt.
Thanks for coming.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Oh, it's been good to talk to you.
I'll say they. You can say it.
Say they.